Fun show on tap today, Heat fans, because we're talking Haywood Highsmith, and is he going to leave in NBA free agency? Plus, at the back half of today's video, could the Heat sign the center Jonas Valanciunas to this roster to provide some serious front court size for the Miami Heat? But first, we do have some good news surrounding the Heat that has nothing to do with basketball, but it's just good to bring this up. Wojnarowski of ESPN had it today that Hall of Famer and Heat legend Alonzo Mourning underwent surgery to remove his prostate after diagnosis of stage 3 prostate cancer. And it looks like he has no more cancer left, which is just fantastic to hear. One of the people who still works with the Heat and is one of Pat Riley's right-hand men, but also a Heat legend, is now cancer-free. So I want to show him some love. One of the best Heat players of all time. Shout out to Alonzo Mourning. Do me a favor and spam the love, spam those Zoes for me down in the comments section, because it is just awesome to see him now cancer-free. All right, let's get into Haywood Highsmith now, because there is a report out there that he has a lot of interest from other teams in NBA free agency. The initial report came from Michael Scotto of HoopsHype, who was talking on a Heat podcast, actually, and said, I would say Haywood has a lot of interest around the league from teams because of the prototype that he fits. A 3-and-D guy, shot 40% this year from 3, which is a high watermark for teams around the league. It does not surprise me one bit that Haywood Highsmith would have some interest in the NBA free agency circles. This is someone who has improved every single year he has been in the league. Scotto mentioned the three-point shooting. It's something that is clearly coveted around the NBA now, and he has only been able to improve his game. There's still a long way for Highsmith to go. Like, don't get it twisted. He still needs to work on his handle and get more confidence in his offensive ability. But to be a 7th, 8th man off a bench who can really play good defense and shoot the three ball, that is something that teams will be very happy to bring into their locker room and their system. Like, Highsmith can be an exceptional defender. He has played good defense already for the Heat, but an expanded role and more PT, like, he could be an all-NBA defense caliber of a guy. I truly believe that, because there were some times, and especially if you look back to the postseason run a year ago, when he came in Game 7, strapped up Jason Tatum, stole the ball, got out in transition, and then also had massive moments in Game 1 of the NBA Finals against the Nuggets. This was someone who showcased the potential to be one of the better 3-and-D role players off the bench in the NBA. There was a report earlier on in the offseason that he could get $8 to $10 million in free agency, and if I had to give a prediction, that's what I believe he would get. I think $8 million is on the lower side, $10 million would be on the higher side, but I think that $9 million range is where he will live, and it would not shock me whatsoever if a different team in free agency offered him a 3-year, $27 million deal. That feels about right for Highsmith. And to me, if that is on the table for Haywood from another team, I think there's a higher chance that he leaves the Miami Heat than there is for him to come back, because we've talked about how close Miami is to the second apron of the luxury tax, where there's just unbelievable restrictions, where you can't trade a 2032 pick. You can't aggregate contracts in a trade to make the salaries match. Like, there's just so much restrictions, and that's not even to even talk about how much Mickey Arison would get charged out of his pocket to keep it. Like, they're just probably not going to enter the second apron of the tax for Haywood Highsmith. As good as a role player he is, the only way the Heat are going in the luxury tax past the second apron is if it's to acquire a all-star or all-NBA type player. No offense to Haywood, but I just don't see it happening. But you guys can disagree, you can agree with me. Predict it for me down in the comments section. Will the Heat re-sign Haywood Highsmith? Type Y for yes or type N for no. There's a different way they could do it if they shed salary and brought him back, but let me know what you think ends up happening. If I had to predict it, just like I've been saying with Caleb Martin, I think Highsmith is a goner, man, and it's unfortunate that that is going to be the case, but it's kind of where I think things are heading. When you are that close to the apron, there isn't a lot of room to make moves. So unless the Heat do a salary dump where they trade a Duncan Robinson contract or make a different trade where they free up $8 to $10 million in cap space, I would be willing to go out on the limb and predict both Caleb Martin and Haywood Highsmith are gone. Now, there is a scenario, I think, where Caleb Martin opts out of his player option. Then the Heat get $7 million back, and maybe they can allot that money to Haywood Highsmith to stay in that first apron but not past the second apron. But then again, that wouldn't allow you to really make any upgrades to the roster outside of vet min signings and trades. So it's going to be an interesting thing for Miami to view in NBA free agency, which is why you need to be subscribed, because we will have all Miami Heat free agency news and rumors on this channel. Listen, free agency opens up on a Sunday afternoon, which is, by the way, so crap by the NBA. A Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern time start in free agency? What are we doing here? But either way, we'll have you covered, so hit that sub button and lock us in. All right, let's talk about this man here, Jonas Valanciunas, because I've read some of the comments from you guys, and you guys want me to talk about adding more size. A lot of you want Zach Edey in the draft, which would be a mistake, and I'm going to stay there. But could Valanciunas be someone that the Heat target in free agency? We know Miami needs size, and the quest for a backup center just continues to remain one of the biggest needs for the Heat after Thomas Bryant didn't work out. Cody Zeller was a disaster. Dwayne Dedmon was even worse. Myers Leonard wasn't great. Like, Bam Adebayo has never had a true center to be his backup that helped him, or could be someone he could play alongside. So could Valanciunas be that guy? Well, there is definitely size being added to the Heat roster if they did make a move for Valanciunas. This dude is absolutely massive in more ways than one. It's not even just the height and length. It's just the physicality and pure poundage on him, too. He's 6'11", with an unbelievably good wingspan, 7'6". Not going to say it, but you guys know how I feel about wingspan. That wingspan to height ratio is fantastic. With a standing reach of 9 feet and 3 inches, this dude can easily just grab rebounds falling off the rim, whether it be on the defensive end of the floor, on the offensive end of the floor, creating second chance opportunities. And I mentioned the weight, 265 pounds. Yeah, that's a big fella. There would not be anybody messing with the Miami Heat front court if you ran a Valanciunas Bam two-man lineup and Bam improved his three-point shooting to where you feel comfortable doing that. You'd have two unbelievably big men inside crashing the glass and being able to defend and protect the rim. More on Valanciunas, but we are sponsored by PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app that has more than 5 million members. It's so simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you could win up to 100 times your cash. NBA Finals starting on Thursday, and the finals just mean more on PrizePicks, and so do the star players. You get boosted payouts on select basketball stars that you won't find anywhere else. I've already got an entry lined up for Game 1 on Thursday. I'll take the more than on Daniel Gafford, 6 rebounds, more than on 14.5 Derek White points, but also less than on Jason Tatum, 27.5 points. That's a 3-player entry to win 5 times my money, but you could turn $10 into $1,000 with just one single game watching any of your favorite sports this summer. Like I said, you can make the lineup so quickly, it takes as little as 60 seconds. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. So download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100, or click on the link in the description and comments, prizepicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS. Pick more, pick less, that easy. Valanciunas has been very productive over the past 4 seasons, and one of the things that's impressed me the most is his ability to stay on the basketball court. He's not someone that relies on athleticism, so when you don't have to worry about jumping and running that fast, injuries don't happen as much, but playing 74-plus games in the last 3 seasons is very impressive. He just gobbles up rebounds, damn near averaging 10-plus rebounds a game in the last 4 years, besides last year, and he consistently shoots 54+% from the field. Now, the interesting thing is his three-point numbers, because you saw there they almost decreased over the last 4 seasons of his career, and I want to take a look at his shot chart from 23-24. If you see the darker colors, that means it's really good. The mid blue is fine, the light blue is bad. So you see there, the right block, he is just absolutely automatic on those dump downs, bank shots, and he's pretty solid at finishing around the rim in the restricted area. But the part we want to note, and the one that we need to talk about, is the little flutter of good blue at the top of the key. It's not bad. And if he's able to shoot an effective and efficient rate from the top of the key on three-point pick and pops, well, maybe there's a way for him and Bam to play together. And I wanted to take a deeper look into how Valanciunas shot from three in comparison to the league last season. So he's obviously not a corner guy because he shot a combined 4 of 24 from the corners at 16.7%. That will not play, especially when the league averages 39.1% and 38.5% respectively. But the top of the key numbers will at least be serviceable. Left wing at 31.3%, top of the key at 34.6%, and then right wing is 35.7%. Those stack up kind of similar to the league averages. Now, the only concern I have is, well, he doesn't do it a lot, right? Like the most threes he took at one specific spot is 52 at the top of the key. And even though the raw numbers might suggest he can space the floor, I am a little bit skeptical of his ability to do so at an efficient rate. Like, it's cool, he can step out and make it, but teams are still going to dare him to do so. And when the postseason rolls around, we're assuming the Heat are in that position, teams are going to funnel the basketball to Jonas Valanciunas at the top of the key, right wing, left wing, after these pick and rolls. So to me, in the playoffs, I don't know if you'd be able to play Bam and Valanciunas together. It would work in the regular season. I really do think that would be the case. But when the postseason rolls around and the basketball gets its highest peak and highest intensity, I'm not so sure that would be the best play. So what say you? After seeing some statistics and his size, would you sign Jonas Valanciunas to this Heat team? Type S for sign or type P for pass. I would sign Jonas Valanciunas, but as a backup. I'm still not there yet with Valanciunas' ability to be a starter alongside Bam Adebayo, and I know a lot of people want Bam to move the power forward as he's 6'9", he's athletic, he can play that position. But to me, if you want to add a center alongside him, it needs to be someone who could space the floor efficiently and consistently. Valanciunas can shoot the three ball, shooting the ball about 31% last year, and he shot at 36% just a couple seasons ago, but he doesn't do it at a high enough clip to make me feel comfortable playing those two guys together. So if I'm signing Jonas Valanciunas, I'm playing him as a backup center. But the problem I have is what he would get in a contract, because the projection that I've seen floated around NBA circles is that he would likely get a 3-year deal with $12 to $15 million in annual average salary. So a 3-year, let's just say $45 million deal, high end, $36 million low end. If you watched the first half of the video, which I imagined you did because you're still here, you guessed it. That's just not possible for the Heat to afford unless Mickey Arison and Pat Riley felt Jonas Valanciunas was the missing piece and missing link on this Heat team to get them over the hump. Maybe they would go into the second apron for Jonas Valanciunas. But I have a hard time believing they would, and for that reason, I doubt the Heat will even consider signing someone of Valanciunas' stature because he's going to be so expensive. But hey, if Valanciunas wants to come to Miami for a 2-year, $12 million deal, maybe then we can happen. But I guess this might be after the conversation for a different day because I could probably go in depth on this topic for quite a bit. But maybe the Heat should trade Duncan Robinson and shed his salary. Like, he's got a couple years left on that deal, $18 million per season. If you get rid of that contract, that would allow you to go after a guy like Valanciunas. It would allow you to re-sign a Caleb Martin and Haywood Highsmith potentially. Like, there's a lot of different things Miami could do if they got off of Duncan Robinson's contract. Now, the issue is you're losing one of the best three-point shooters off the bench in the NBA and one of the better role players from a year ago, but it would free you up to keep a couple guys or potentially go out and add a decent center to back up Bam Adebayo. If you want me to do a video on what the Heat could do if they moved off Duncan Robinson's contract and what that would look like, let me know, but it is something that we do have to know. Last thing I want to talk to you guys before we head out of here. I'm still not so sure I like putting my face on the thumbnail, but that's what we're doing around here. We will be live for every NBA Finals game. Yes, you heard that correctly. I'm going to be doing coverage for our main Chat Sports channel, breaking down the game, normally like we do watch parties on the Heat games every game, but we also are going to simulcast on Heat. So if you want to come hang out and watch the NBA Finals with myself and producer Cullen, this is the thumbnail for Game 1. So if you see it, click on it. kind of a handsome guy if you're asking me. So come join us and watch these NBA Finals games. It sucks that we have to watch the Mavs and Celtics and one of them get a championship. Probably rooting for Mavericks because I can't see Boston win, but come hang out with me and make sure you subscribe to the channel.